Do you think, ultimately, looking back on this, that something happened to Jackie that night?
I'm not really sure, and I don't think we'll ever know. I do know that she had a lot of pain, and I saw that. Her friends that night saw that. But we do know that this story is not true, so it's a very unfortunate thing that happened, and I think she is at least, if nothing else, definitely a victim of this story being published because Rolling Stone did not do their job in verifying it.
She's a victim of the story being punished. The woman who made up a story about being raped and attacked is a victim because I'll grant you, the Rolling Stone, those people should have been fired, but who brought the thing on in the first place? Heather Wilhelm joins us right now, columnist for RealClearPolitics and senior contributor at the Federalist. And Heather, you wrote a great piece, the rape culture lie. And, you know, this is one part of the story, but all the questions, so guests like you just heard answer a question on CNN are, you know, 1 out of every 5 women are sexually assaulted on campus. What is this going to do to them? And 1 out of every 5 women are not sexually assaulted on campus.
Yes, that's absolutely right. It's amazing. You see this statistic getting repeated again and again and again, and when you hear it, it sounds absolutely horrific. I mean, if this were true, there'd be an epidemic going on. Unfortunately, the people who are repeating this statistic seem to have some different motive, and in December of just this year, the Department of Justice updated their rape statistics. It's more like 6 in 1,000, which is, again, a sad number, but nowhere near the 1 in 5 statistic that you see repeated all the way up to the White House.
But here's the real problem, and there are young men who have had their lives ruined. They've never been found guilty in a court of law of sexual assault, but yet they've been kicked out of college, and it's on their record that they committed sexual assault. I'll never understand why these cases aren't brought right to the police immediately, and the campus should have nothing to do with them. And if someone rapes someone, they should go to jail. But having said that, it's the redefinition, the redefining, as you well know, of sexual assault. I mean, they go out to a party, they have a couple of drinks, the boy and the girl, the man and the woman, whatever, they have sex. Next morning, the girl could wake up, from what I read, and decide she shouldn't have had sex and claim sexual assault, and the guy's in trouble.
It's a really sad situation, and I think for a lot of these cases, that's exactly the case, which is unbelievable. And, you know, I've talked to a lot of women, and they've asked me, they said, well, you know, what does it matter if we're exaggerating the real number of rapes? You know, how does that hurt anyone? And it hurts everyone. It hurts men who are accused. It hurts women who are real victims of sexual assault. It's a huge problem.
Right, and you point out in your piece that the Ms. Foundation, you know, I go back to so many, Who Stole Feminism, the great book, and it talked about the Ms. Foundation and other things back in the 80s, and this 1 in 4, because I said 1 in 5, but as you point out, 1 in 4 is even more resilient because that goes back to 1988 when the Ms. Foundation study by an Ohio State professor, which Christina Hoff Sommers, who wrote that great book, you know, tore apart, they came up with that figure. I mean, the Ms. Foundation and others, according to Christina Hoff Sommers, came up with so many false studies that the media just ran with, such as the March of Dimes study. They said that found that most birth defects are caused by men or husbands kicking their pregnant girlfriends or wives in the belly. The March of Dimes never did such a study, but ABC News, I think, and others reported it as fact. So here we go again.
You know, it's really interesting, and the whole idea, I think this whole Rolling Stone story, it surrounds the idea of this rape culture, which is an idea that goes back to the 1970s, and some radical feminists sort of cooked it up then, and it's never really died. But, you know, what's interesting to me is, as you mentioned, the Rolling Stone debacle, nobody's getting fired. How is this even possible? You know, this is a story that could have potentially ruined lives, and apparently people just don't care about the truth. They care about a certain agenda that they want to push.
But Heather, I mean, if you wrote a story for Real Clear or the Federal, and you quoted people who you never spoke to because someone said they said it, I mean, just that alone is grounds for firing.
It's amazing, and you know, a lot of the postmortems on this Rolling Stone story haven't even touched the craziest parts of the story, which are they really indicate that this Jackie was a very confused individual, if not disturbed. Another interesting twist to this is the University of Virginia has an honor code where students aren't supposed to lie, and yet somehow, apparently, Jackie's still on campus, as far as I know.
That's because, Heather, we don't know if something terrible didn't happen to Jackie. We just know it wasn't what she said happened to Jackie. And I don't mean to mock it, but to your point, that's a great point you bring out. But Jackie will be protected. Jackie should be brought before the police and face charges for these false accusations. And there's going to be lawsuits, and I'm glad there will be lawsuits. Great work, Heather. Keep it up. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, again, if someone gets raped, the guy should go to jail and they should cut it off. I just want to make that clear. We're coming back.